My lemon blueberry dump cake with 3 ingredients recipe is easy and delicious. This summer cobbler is perfect for beginner cooks who need to feed a crowd, so I know you'll want to give it a try. Let's go over the ingredients. For a 9x13 baking dish, you'll need 2 21-ounce cans of blueberry pie filling, one 15.25-ounce box of lemon cake mix, and 2 sticks of unsalted butter. So those are the 3 base ingredients, and that's all you really need. But if you want to take this recipe to the next level, I also recommend that you add 1 tablespoon of lemon zest and 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. Like I said, optional, but I highly recommend. I used some of the butter from one of the sticks to grease this pan, so I am ready to begin. Hence the name. The first step in this recipe is literally dumping the blueberry pie filling into the pan. So I am just going to take my spatula. Like I said, the 9x13 baking dish is already greased with butter. So I am just going to dump in the pie filling. And once it's in the pan, I am going to spread it out with my spatula. So once I do that, I will show you the next step. The blueberry pie filling is now evenly spread out in the baking dish. If you want to just make this a 3-ingredient dump cake recipe, you can move on to the next step. But if you want to take this dessert to the next level, this is what I recommend. So I am going to take my 2 tablespoons of lemon juice, and I am just going to sprinkle that over the top best that I can. So this is not only going to add to the lemon flavor that's in the cake mix, but also it's going to help bring out the berry flavor. So whenever you add lemon to blueberries, strawberries, blackberries, raspberries, any type of berry, the flavor is going to be even better. So whenever you're making a berry cobbler or a berry pie, I highly recommend a little bit of lemon juice. And now that I've mixed in the lemon juice a little bit, now I'm going to take the lemon zest and just sprinkle that on top. I am not going to work it in, really. I'm not going to mix it in like I did with the lemon juice because I want there to be a distinct berry layer and then a lemon layer on the top. But if you want to mix it in, you can. And if you do not have lemon zest, then you could do 1 to 1.5 teaspoons of lemon extract. Probably more like 1.5. I just finished sprinkling over the zest, so now it's time to move on to the cake mix. Here I have my box of cake mix, and I'm going to dump it in as well. Just going to move it across the top as I shake it back and forth, and that's going to help dump the cake mix on top of the blueberry pie filling. It's actually easier if I do it this way, but I just wanted you to be able to see what it looks like. Like I said, I am using a lemon cake mix because this is a lemon blueberry dump cake. But if you want to use white or lemon cake mix and you want to add a little bit more lemon zest, I think you could do that as well. If you want to get creative with the recipe, I think a chocolate cake mix would be interesting. Strawberry spice cake. So if anyone makes this recipe and uses a different type of cake mix to change up the flavor, please let me know. And now I'm going to take my fork and just run it across the top to smooth everything out. Notice I'm not mixing the cake mix in with the pie filling. I'm just dragging my fork across the top so that the cake mix is distributed evenly and so that I can break up the clumps. Notice I'm not packing it down either. I'm just dragging my fork across the top. You could use a spoon as well, but honestly I think a fork is probably better because it's going to help break up those lumps of cake mix. And now that the lemon cake mix layer is smoothed out, it's time to add the butter. So here I have my stick of butter, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it into very thin slices, and then I'm going to lay those slices on top of the dump cake. So what I should have done is I should have left this butter in the refrigerator. Whenever I make a dump cake, I do that, but I forgot this time. So do not do what I do. Remember to put the butter back into the refrigerator. It'll be a lot easier to cut. But I will still be okay. So like I said, just take your slices of butter and simply lay them on top. How thinly should you cut the butter? I would say in each tablespoon, probably 4 to 6 slices. So fairly thin. And then put them on the top to where they're almost touching. If they touch, that's okay, but in general, I think they should almost touch. That will ensure that you have enough for the whole surface. I know this is time consuming and a little tedious, so if you want to speed it up, I guess you could melt the butter and pour it on top, but I personally would not do that because I think it would be hard to control it and make sure that you don't have any places that are dry, because if you have any places where there's no butter, it's going to be very dry and it's not going to turn out right. The whole point of this is that as the dump cake bakes in the oven, this butter will melt down and into the butter. It will melt down and out across the top, and it's going to help cook the cake mix and form a lemony, crunchy crumble. It's going to be amazing. So if you like Dutch apple pie, you will like this topping. What I heard someone suggest, it was actually someone on my channel, a subscriber, in the comment section, if I remember correctly, suggested maybe freezing the butter and then grating it on a cheese grater or putting it into a food processor and then sprinkling it across the top. I guess that would work. If someone gives that a try, please let me know. Keep saying I'm going to try that, but I always forget. I'm doing this as my oven is preheating to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. I just finished laying butter across the top of my dump cake. As you can see, I left a little bit of space between each slice because I wanted to make sure that I had enough butter to cover the top. I used all of the butter except for 2 tablespoons. And here you can see if there's a little too much space between the slices, you can cut off little pieces of butter and stick them in the gap or even up here. That is totally fine. You just want to make sure that you have as much of the cake mix covered with butter as possible. Now I'm going to put my lemon blueberry dump cake into a 350 degree oven uncovered, and I'll let you know how long it takes. I just pulled the dump cake out of the oven. It was in at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, uncovered for 1 hour, 60 minutes. This dump cake had a sweet, buttery smell and a perfect golden brown crust, so it looked incredible. I couldn't wait to give it a try. And when I did, I knew that my lemon blueberry dump cake with 3 ingredients recipe was a big success because it was absolutely delicious. Surprisingly, I thought that this dump cake had more blueberry flavor than the plain blueberry version that I made about a year ago here on my channel. I guess it's because the extra lemon brought out the flavor. Speaking of lemon, using a lemon cake mix in this dump cake was a good change of pace for my usual white cake mix. Because, like I said, I think it helped bring out the blueberry flavor, and it also just gave the crumble topping more flavor than it usually has. Speaking of the topping, it had a nice texture to it. If you're used to a pie crust cobbler or an all-purpose flour cakey cobbler, this is a good change of pace because it was basically like a lemon flavored crumble. Crispy, crunchy, and very nice when combined with the gooey filling. So if you're like me and texture is just as important as taste in a recipe, you'll definitely like this one. Even though the blueberry filling did seem to bubble up a little bit more with this dump cake than in some of the others that I've made, I thought there was still plenty of crispy, crunchy topping. So if you like that texture, this dump cake will have plenty. And now that I'm holding the first slice up to the camera, you can get a really good look at this dump cake. The juicy blueberry filling, the crispy crumble topping, like I said, it was delicious. I served this about an hour after I took it out of the oven, which was the perfect amount of time in my opinion because it was still slightly warm, but not so warm that it fell apart totally when it was served. Like I said, I thought this lemon blueberry dump cake with 3 ingredients recipe was a huge success, but I do have a few comments. I'm not sure why, but the filling was really runny. If you've seen my other dump cake recipes, you know that usually the filling is pretty juicy, but not to this extent. I felt like I had to go back after I scooped out a piece and try and get some of the blueberry filling that was left behind. I'm not quite sure what happened. Maybe it was the type of pie filling that I used, but honestly, I didn't think it was that big of a deal. I think it would be perfect if you want to serve this with ice cream. You could use some of the syrup to drizzle over the ice cream. Speaking of which, even though I thought this was best served plain, you could also serve it with whipped cream, Cool Whip ice cream, whatever you wanted. The other thing I wanted to point out is that although this was a lemon blueberry dump cake, I felt like in terms of flavor, it was more of a blueberry dump cake. Although there was definitely lemon in the background, I felt that the blueberry pie filling was the dominant flavor. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you want the lemon and blueberry flavors to be more balanced, you could add a little more lemon zest, but what I think would really make the biggest difference would be adding 1 can of lemon pie filling. You could replace one of the cans of blueberry pie filling with lemon, but honestly, I think then the dump cake might not have as much berry flavor as you want, so I would just add an extra can of lemon pie filling. But those critiques are fairly minor because this lemon blueberry dump cake with 3 ingredients recipe was amazing. This would be a great simple cobbler for the summer and would be absolutely perfect as the blue dessert on a red, white, and blue dessert table for the 4th of July. If you make this, I know you'll love it. As always, thanks for watching. See you next time.